Progress on the prop shaft and stern tube are still coming along really well. The last you saw, we had glassed just the deadwood or the skeg in, and Matt has gone back now, sanded off the rear parts because of the extra glass that was hanging off, and Matt is now still fitting the stern tube underneath, keeping it at that 7.5 degree angle. So I think pretty soon we'll actually be able to bond the tube to the skeg and then do the glassing all the way around, which means then we'll be able to start fairing that in. But the really exciting news is that our feathering props from AB Marine should be coming in the next few days, so we can show how those are going to fit in there and kind of some of the information Matt was talking about last week with like distance from the hull and all of that, actually be able to show it. So really excited. But that is not what I've been working on. If you haven't seen me, it's because, surprise, surprise, I'm still fairing and sanding. So I'll kind of show you what I've been working on lately. And it looks like he's been working on port side a little bit more, just kind of forming and fitting the deadwood, and then has that line coming out of the stern tube, kind of just keeping that angle right here. And as for myself, I have just been bouncing back between the guest hull over here and the owner's hull over here, working on different bits of fairing and sanding. Down in the owner's hull, you can see the difference of that dusty rose pink into orange. So this has primer on it. This is just our 3M fairing compound. So I'm just doing last little bits of fairing in here. We still are trying to kind of get the perfect angle between this. I'm just starting to add coves where the bulkheads meet the hull sides here. And so we're not too worried about this area. We're just kind of trying to get the areas that we have primed before finished and ready for the next coat of primer. And with all the green splotches here, that is our Total Boat epoxy fairing compound, because this is an epoxy primer, so we can't use our old polyester stuff, but just kind of like really lightly filling areas that look like they were low. And especially on the guest side here is where I have been spending a lot of my time working, especially going forward into the V-berth. But mostly I have just been going through and redoing all of the coves because we've noticed a little indent from where we had done them before. So there's the wall, and then it kind of like dips in, and then there's the seam of the cove. So what I have been doing is just going through and filling them once again with that epoxy fairing compound. And you can see, especially what I've been talking about, where the center of it is still high. You can see the original pink, the fairing compound, and then kind of on the outside where it needs to blend into the wall, that needs to get filled more. And the change up that I've been doing, which I think is really helping, is using these soft sander sanding blocks. You can kind of see because one of the corners here is basically just the angle that we need to fit the coves, and because it is a softer block, I mean it's still firm but a little squishy, then it kind of contours to the space where what we had been using before I think was like a hard edge and was kind of digging it in. So the combination of the two should be good, and then once we get all of those done, again, hopefully we can go through with our next coat of primer. Oh, these hot days are killing me.
Don't think I'm ready for you. Don't think you're ready for me either. I know you've been with her too long. It's okay, I'm just saying. What if she told you that she still likes you and she wants you to come back? Would you go and pretend like I'm nothing, although you want her, want her, want her? I need you back, back, back. 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 Trying to figure who I am, and I want us both to understand.
Hey Dolls, it's Joyce. I know you haven't seen me in a while. It's because I can't stand to watch poor Jessica schlep around in the heat while she does her work, so I have been separating myself to work on my body and my mind. And one of the easiest ways for me to do that is with AG1, because just one scoop of this powder into my adorable bottle with 8 ounces of water is filled with 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients. Now, for the smart people out there, it's filled with probiotics, prebiotics, and it's a superfood complex, making it highly absorbable for your body. And for the layman's, like my friend Ricky, let me tell you, it is totally gonna help you with digestion and gut health. Honestly, I used to get so bloated, I felt like I was growing a food baby inside me. But a few days on AG1 and my stomach got itself sorted out. And also, it totally improves my energy. It has all the nutrition I need just in this one little bottle, because take a look around. In this Sticksville, I ain't getting those organic food markets to get all the nutrients that my body needs on its own. They're on top of the science and constantly improving the formula to make sure it has everything your body needs and nothing that it doesn't. So here's my tip for you dolls. If you want to get started out with the immunity bundle, including 5 handy travel packs and a 1-year supply of vitamin D, they're going to send you all of this with your first purchase. So just make sure to go to drinkag1.com/mjsailing or follow the link in the description box below and get started on your healthier life today. One thing we want to concentrate on while the ambient temperature inside the tent is warm enough for resins and compounds to cure quickly is to begin filling in all of the seams from where the different parts of our kit have come together. Originally, they were bonded with methacrylate, a type of high-strength glue. But now we want to go back and glass them together as well.
I break down and I can't get up.
While Matt was all suited up and creating a dust storm, I stayed in the hulls, continuing to work on the coves, basically going back and redoing every single corner just to be safe. When the sanding had been done on the seams and they were all cleaned of residual gel coat, Matt's next step was to use our Total Boat thickened resin to fill in any small gaps and make the surface as smooth as possible. Once the resin became tacky, which didn't take long in this heat, he glassed over the seams with a single sheet of our 12-ounce double bias fiberglass. At the end, a sheet of peel ply was added to smooth out the uneven surface of the glass, which will make it much easier for fairing. Moving to the exterior of the boat, he took on the project of fairing around our dagger board case. These have been glassed into place for just about a year. But now we're trying to prep many of these exterior surfaces for gel coat. And while Matt seems to be flying through his projects, making them look incredibly easy, I am still doing the most tedious part of finished work I can think of. Rest assured, going back over every single seam that has been primed is no small task. But there isn't the same satisfying look of progress forward for me. See, Matt's already sanding down his glass and getting it ready to apply fairing compound.
Since we're already taking care of this area, figure I might as well go through and fill all these little holes along here. I'm just using this little die bit, grinder bit, to go through and get it. This is a gel coated surface, and when we drilled through it, we made a lot of little chips. So you can see it's flaking off there. The idea is to grind those back, get it to a nice soft surface, then I'll go through and fill each one of these spots. We mentioned before, but instead of this being gel coated like you see it currently right now, we're gonna sand it down and prime it, and we'll actually paint this whole surface so that it matches the rest of the area around here. It makes it a lot easier to fill these things because now I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about the gel coat side of it. So if you look, that gives a nice chamfered edge there without any rough chips basically coming out. So it's going to make it much easier to fill this in, and hopefully it won't spread anymore or chip anymore later on.
Going back to the very beginning of the video, I was hoping that we would have made more progress this week on our prop shafts, but the feathering props have not come in yet, and we're also waiting on a laser that a friend is supposed to give us to be able to angle that kind of stuff more properly before we glass it in, so hopefully that will be next week. But these are the things that we did manage to accomplish within the past few days. In addition to fairing out these seams where the cabin sides meet the front portions, Matt has gone through and filled out those holes that he drilled, and then also did a little bit of fairing to that lip. I am still fairing all of these coves, and each round gets a little bit closer. So in some areas like this, I think I'm done. Although since it's so hard to tell just by feel, I think in the next few days, so next week's episode, I'm going to go through with our primer, just kind of like roll it on and see if the shadows are still there and how it sands, because otherwise, as you guessed, I could probably be doing this forever, even though it is good enough, hopefully. And Matt has been continuing to fair around our dagger board case and get that sanded in, as well as to the forward hatch that we just added a few weeks ago. So the goal is to start applying gel coat to those areas soon. He's also been working underneath the boat, which we started on a long time ago, kind of filling in those seams, getting those ready for gel coat, because of course we would rather practice where nobody's going to see it. So those are all of the little things that we have been doing until we can go back to working on the props. But since we didn't want to end this episode too soon, there's still some fun to be had of what we were up to a couple weeks ago with a couple of our cruising friends and the guys from Barnacle. Welcome to part 2 of our journey here in Canada. We are on the BC ferries now, leaving Vancouver and headed to Victoria, where we are going to meet the guys from Barnacle and a couple of our cruising friends, and we have got the perfect seats on this boat. We just got to the other side, and now we have to weave between a couple of islands before we make it to Victoria, but I would like to bring the new boat over here eventually and cruise these grounds. It is stunning.
Fresh off the ferry, we went right to the Royal Victoria Yacht Club. Not only was Brandon a new member, but one of our followers, Dale, happened to be the rear Commodore. We enjoyed a nice barbecue dinner, And then we're presented with a Royal Yacht Club Burgee to proudly fly on our catamaran when she's in the water.
A Club Burgee.
Oh, thank you.
You can fly on your vessel proudly.
We absolutely will.
It's a beautiful Burgee too.
Yeah, so
It's actually
we're
a
a
really good
royal
design.
club,
Yeah.
and there's Royal Vancouver, Royal Victoria. So yeah, we would like you to have these for your vessels.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, no, that one.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay.
The guys put us and our buddies from Odd Life Crafting in a great hotel in downtown Victoria called the Swan. There's a pub on the main floor which serves great food, and we were staying in a 2-bedroom micro apartment. They did let us tour the penthouse apartment upon our arrival, which used to be the residence of the hotel owner. It can hold 18 guests for events, but up to 4 people can stay there overnight. Spread over 2 stories, the upstairs holds the master living space in an open floor plan with a king-size bed, great views out to the harbor, and a massive bathroom.
Holy crap. We've just been picked up by Sean because now we're going to take a tour of the Barnacle offices where they work and meet the team. I've got my Barnacle gear on here.
Oh my gosh!
Birthday girl? Yeah. Happy birthday. Thank you.
If you want a refresher on how the Barnacle systems work, we have a link and timestamp in our description box of their feature in our Mets video. Matt was loving talking to the team about the mechanics of how it can make all of your systems talk to each other and log data.
That's what HH is using on their cameras. That's what Cars is using. That's what.
I, on the other hand, was excited to get out for the company golfing event, where each of us YouTubers would be split up among the Barnacle team.
Team Matt. Totally.
Did it. Let's see how long it takes them to notice. Right now we are in Cordova Bay, just north of Victoria at the Ridge Golf Course. We've got 16 team members here from Barnacle, and we're about to head out on the course. It's a par 3 course. Most of us don't know what we're doing whatsoever, so we're doing a couple of practice tees here on the putting green, but most of us are just going to drink beer and have fun.
I'm going to give him $1 American if he can sink it from here right
Are you ready for this?
Rookie!
My body for bear, takes your ball off there.
Oh!
Carway. Just like I'm not playing this short game.
Bunch of professionals.
What hole are we on?
Hole number 6, 89 yards. Wind exists.
Most beautiful hole you've ever seen, but the problem is we have to go across that to the green there. And that is just not going to happen. We've got it right, team.
Totally.
My ball, right in these bushes. But it's a good thing we're playing, what is this game called? Fun ball?
Best ball.
Best ball, so the best ball out there.
I like fun ball.
Fun ball.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry, I don't have to replay. We're just gonna go to the green and shoot.
It was such a fun thing to be included with the Barnacle team and get to know them better outside of the office. We're sure we'll be seeing them again in the future, but for ourselves, Odd, and Brandon and Sean, our Canadian adventures were just getting started. Stay tuned next week for the second installment of our time here.